So we've gone over this whole Google thing, and there's been like lots of it over the last year with little things like YouTube Heroes and things like this. And a lot of creators are looking for a place where they're hoping they don't get hit by like the Adpocalypse and everything like that.
One of the platforms that has apparently like come up like more lately in like probably the last year, would you say?
Yeah.
Is Vidme, but unfortunately more lately in the past month and a half, they've not proven themselves to be of much of a better version of YouTube.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. There is because I mean Vidme, about almost a year ago at this point, put out basically a Statue of Liberty video about give us your crass humor,
give us your fucking profanity.
Yep. And your sexual humor and everything like this, and basically it's like we want the stuff that YouTube is censoring. So the implied message here is and they also say be able to speak freely.
Yep.
So that so we're gonna basically be more of a bastion of freedom of speech, controversial ideas, and everything like this. And what ended up happening about 2 months ago, in June, was they started, they put out a Medium blog about categories not like the Vidme categories getting removed from the hot feed. Politics and news had already been removed from the hot feed like February. It was still there, but it just wasn't part of that actual hot feed.
Yeah, and they were starting to remove Vidme category videos, and this, while it is a good movement, it in some ways, like Alex said in the previous video with Jack the Ripoff, it was poorly timed because they announced this while the Free Cantatino thing was going on.
Yes, and with all this, this comes down to kind of it's a perception issue, and at the time, one of the lines that struck a chord, and this falls very similar to like what Google's doing right now, with basically their digital book burning and everything like this. If we don't like the ideas, we got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
That they've been doing on YouTube or even within their company. Is Alex Benzer, one of the co-founders of Vidme, one of his last paragraphs was, if you're looking for a place to troll, harass, exclude, or threaten people for the sake of attention, you won't find a home here. If you're looking for a place to be creative and publish your art, Vidme is it.
Yeah.
Now, this seems like a safe statement, but
the other thing is that it could be interpreted in many different ways.
Yes, because let's say I'm making a statement or I'm asking a question and it's controversial, it is an unpopular opinion. All of a sudden, somebody says, you are trolling, you're harassing, or you're threatening me with words.
Or like, you're, like, it could easily be turned the wrong way if people are like, oh no, this guy's harassing me because he disagrees with my opinion.
Yeah, and that's a weird thing. And it put us on edge, just like a lot of the Vidme stuff has. It's like, it doesn't feel like it's now sending the same message that they did back in September of last year when they did the Statue of Liberty and everything else. And with this whole, they started de-verifying creators.
And one of them was apparently Sandia Mesa, which I own.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unfortunate. And I've actually sent like a, I've sent like one email on like the day I figured out that this was, that my channel was unverified, and then the other one was like on Monday to like one of the actual staff themselves. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get any response whatsoever. And I will probably be making a video soon about like what could be the possible reasons why Sandia Mesa got unverified and what to do next.
Yeah, and this is a bad perception thing because there's no warnings. The people are just unverified, and it's also bad because from a PR standpoint, Vidme is looking like they don't know how to handle public PR, because they've said plenty of times when anything comes up, email us privately. We're not going to make public statements. But the problem is this gets more of the public agitated, because it's like, well, why won't you make public statements in regards to things like this?
You have more than just this one person wanting to know the answer.
Exactly, and that's what kind of happened with the Censored thing. Is it got so infuriating. People were wanting them to talk about it publicly, and like clarify why they even did it to begin with.
Yeah, and they made themselves look kind of silly by, we don't discuss matters like this publicly, but yet they were willing to go into with a group of creators, one of the largest discords, the unofficial Vidme Discord.
Yes.
And they were publicly talking in there, which is an open Discord. And they said in there that being a creator is not a right, is a privilege to be a verified creator. Mm-hmm. And fine, I can agree with that, as long as you're within the rules and guidelines. And everything perception-wise was that nothing has been broke to be unverified. So Mike, it's like Quintantino had, been, he had basically tweeted at that time at Eli the computer guy. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? And then you got de-verified.
And then he got de-verified.
Like it was a punishment.
Like it was a and it could be easily interpreted as a punishment. In fact, that's what people concluded to, because even when Quintantino talked about the emails, and he said, there was this one email where he said, please explain this, and that was like, and it was like the exact tweet.
Yeah, so in that case, the perception is that because Quintantino had said something outside of Vidme on Twitter, he got de-verified, which was like crazy. Now, with Sandia Mesa Studio, Sean, is there any potential reason that they would have de-verified you?
I do not honestly know. I mean, there's people have said to me, like, there's the possibility that it could have been like miscommunication of like the guidelines or whatever. Other people have said that it could be the fact that I've not created much videos as of late. But I'm tending to think a little more differently. The two conclusions I could come down to is the fact that I interact with Quintantino, or either the criticisms. Just because of the way the Vidme team's been more lately, that's why I'm starting to think this is probably one of the possibilities.
So with this, I think it's potentially a criticism type thing, because we've seen, the perception here is because of criticism. Because I know you've been semi-critical of Vidme at certain times, like, hey, calling them out, basically, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And, it's like, I've called them out, Quintantino has called them out, other creators have called them out, like Pt.2
and Mugiwara Nikok.
Yes. Mm-hmm. These people have been de-verified, or they've lost feature status and everything like this. And there's this trend that causes the perception that this is for, because you are being critical of Vidme, you're going to get de-verified.
Yes.
What was it? I think Pt.2 ended up asking a question on the subreddit.
About the 50 gigabyte limit? Yeah,
about the 50 gigabyte limit, and it asks, like, what are you doing? Why are you investing in storage and everything? Why is this 50 gigabyte limit coming up?
Whom is going to be whom is this going to be applied to? What's the criteria, and when are you considered to be a candidate for the being under the 50 gigabyte storage limit?
Right. He ended up getting banned from that subreddit for Vidme. The reason given was troll. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's a bad reason.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, because the problem is nowadays is if there's something that you do not agree with, all of a sudden that person is a troll.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, exactly.
And even with the statement made 2 months ago by Vidme, Jenny Fedora Productions, we are actually very concerned because, quite frankly, we are trolls.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's there in the name if you look at it.
Yeah. You know, because that's the thing. Sometimes being a troll is to help getting a point across, or playing devil's advocate, or anything like that.
exactly.
The other reason that you are a troll is to take people down a peg and
Yes.
make them understand that while they've got this big inflated sense of of the position that they occupy or the place that they've built, it's very easy to come in and be like, you're not anything. You haven't done anything. You provide a service, or you provide a place, and what makes you powerful is the people who support you.
Yes. And so with this, I mean, this is a public PR perception thing that Vidme has not been able to get a handle on. It's been suggested for multiple months, for like at least 6 months, on ways of how to handle this, because I've heard people go, it's like, well, what, then why don't you just, what can you do to help Vidme? Give them suggestions and things like this. The problem is we see this recurring cycle where people come into the community and they leave, usually in 3-month segments.
Yeah.
So these new.
So like I hate everything. He left by like the end of December. David Seaman even.
Yeah.
Like he eventually left.
And every time that there's been a decision done and not handled properly PR wise, we've watched the numbers. It's like we're climbing. Vidme, cranks their own dick in a public public PR stance, and we flatline.
Flatline, or it goes down.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm quite tired of it. Like, I'm trying to put effort into creating content. I'm not trying to put effort into building up a community just to have it hamstringed every step along the way.
Exactly.
It's the community comes from people making the content and having fun doing that. It doesn't come from three chuckle fucks sitting around a table talking ad nauseum for 15 minutes to an hour about what's going on and what's being done wrong and what needs to be done to fix it. So at this point, I'm basically going to say, you know what, Vidme? We don't need you.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we host our videos there.
They might take away our feature status.
Oh darn! We might lose our verification. We might lose our precious ad revenue. We might lose our tip jar.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh.
It's not like we can't set up 10 other tip jars everywhere else. No, we can just use your service as a dump for our videos. And if people want to go there and watch it, they can.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is people are gonna it's gonna eventually spread, and people are gonna realize Vidme is turning into basically crap, and they're gonna go to a different platform like Float Playing Club or Library.
Right. You wanted to be a place that was better than what YouTube is pulling, but you've pulled stuff that unfortunately makes you exactly like YouTube, only worse because it's a smaller community, and the things that you're doing to this small community are felt all the harder. YouTube has a wide, diverse, humongous sea of people, both consuming and creating content on it. So the decisions that they make, while they spread wide, they spread thin. Vidme doesn't have that.
Sometimes. I mean, YouTube's been really good in a few points, such as the YouTube Heroes, the Adpocalypse, and the recent restricted mode stuff, where they super cranked their dick because it does not spread thin. But
yeah, we're going to get to that.
But that's something we're going to talk about in the actual real podcast.
Yeah.
But the thing here is Vidme has a PR public perception issue.
Yeah. And so the major statement I want to make here is I'm tired of making up for those mistakes. I'm tired of having to sit here and argue about it or try to smooth things over or say that they're not 100% culpable or anything like that. We're not getting paid to do this. We're not getting paid, period, and they make it even harder to make any money off of this kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We just host our videos there. Like that's my basic statement on it. I know I've been very outspoken about trying to make sure that we promote a positive community, and I still think we should continue to do that as a community, but we don't need Vidme to provide that service.
Exactly.
Well, the other thing is not everybody's going to be sunshine and rainbows. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
and that's
certainly not us.
And
we're
and
entering
certainly
into our
not Sandia Mesa either.
Yeah. We're entering into our mid to late 30s. We are not around to do the whole sunshine and rainbows thing anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is like, for some of us, like, the industries we work in are you have to be pragmatic because you are having to think of some of the worst case scenarios to solve issues, you know. And that's the thing is, not everything in the world is sunshine and rainbows, you know.
I've done my work in the service industry. I've left a career in the service industry. I'm done making everybody happy.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
and my thing here is, like I said, this is all a perception issue because of how they've handled this. We've told them multiple times, like, look, please stop doing silly things on a Friday and then walking away for the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And it's like, please give us, you know, some sort of notice. Have a formal blog, put out a video, do something. Just give us a better context before you do something. Just like this 50 gigabyte limit thing that came up. All of a sudden, on a Friday, they sent emails out to select creators and saying, congratulations, you now are been selected to be part of a pool that's only going to have a 50 gigabyte upload.
Yeah.
You have 1 week. One week
to lower your storage limit somewhere either at 50 gigabytes or below.
Yeah, and this was
Or
for
your content will be deleted.
Yeah, and this was for verified and unverified creators. No rhyme or reason behind this. Didn't matter. Didn't seem to matter the followers or anything like this. It didn't matter if they were active or not.
Did we receive a notification?
No, we didn't,
did
because
not.
we're a featured angel darling of, you know,
Yeah.
of Vidme, and quite frankly, I've had some very contentious emails behind the scenes, but at the same point, you know, it's like sometimes those emails don't work.
Exactly.
And that's why there has to be public, you know, public videos, public discussions. And Vidme cannot rely on, hey, just email us behind the scenes, because you can't do that for everything. You got to learn to massage publicly PR.
I mean, one of the major problems we had with YouTube around, even before the Adpocalypse, but right around the Adpocalypse for sure, was we were getting no communication from them. I mean, the major thing for the fair use argument was the copyright thing is almost weighted against the person who's getting put under a copyright claim. They have no direct communication with anybody at YouTube, and to have these claims taken care of on a case-by-case basis is almost a monumental task, but getting no communication about your videos or your content, getting no direct communication other than form letters or automated responses means absolutely diddly to somebody who is trying to make
a living.
Okay, yeah.
Or trying to turn it into like what they want to do, their job.
Yeah. And with all this, I'm going to say there are some things that Vidme, you know, I consider they've done right. And even, you know, I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here because they just changed their entire layout for their website.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I kind of like it because it kills one of the underlying issues that they've had, which is this whole argument over the hot trending feed.
Yeah.
Because that's not there now. Basically, you get your channels are for who you're subscribed to and all typically.
And then like if you want to see trending, you just click on it.
Right. And I think it has the potential. It needs some more time to be, you know, ironed out, because right now it's like in the feed, if you click on a video, you can't comment. It just plays it in a miniature window and things like this. So it still needs to be ironed out some, but I think it's going to kill a huge divisiveness with the hot trending feed, which has been an ongoing issue since it's been launched.
Since the Vidme's inception, it's been about how is that handled and what videos make it there and how creators are featured there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, being able to highlight stuff, and it's like, you know, it sounds great on paper. Being able to highlight stuff that looks interesting or compelling or that the people at Vidme think is worth looking at. We have featured creators. We have the hot and trending thing where, you know, it's where this is the stuff that's generating a lot of buzz or is having this, it's trending.
Yeah,
essentially. And
so they put the other categories on the right hand side, a lot more obvious, more likely to be clicked on. There's a lot of negative space right now that needs to be cleaned up, and I know there's going to be a lot. You know, there's a lot of creators that actually right now don't like it. You know, so I'm probably in the minority here by saying this has potential. I actually like it because I'm not looking at just the design. I'm looking at the whole overall. What problems does this solve? And I think it's going to solve some things, but it still is going to have. It still has that perception issue. Vidme still has that public PR perception issue.
Well, the major problem is now what it's showing is people. It shows people a personalized feed of the channels that they have subscribed to.
Yeah.
That they follow. You know, that And that makes it so that when you show up, you can see the stuff that you want to go there to see, the things that the creators you follow are putting up. But that's going to make it difficult to gain new followers and new subscribers.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the other thing too.
Yeah, and that is something that we as a channel need to consider is, how are we going to get new eyes on our content?
Outside of the Vidme.
Yeah, and I think ultimately in all this, I mean, because I'm sorry, we've been on the platform for gosh darn a year at this point. It's like we're basically a month away, and I think the thing that keeps being said over and over again is Vidme needs to get better at their public communication. Whether it's de-verifying somebody like Sandia Mesa Studios here, okay, when 2 emails are sent and you're not explaining to them why you took away the verification, it's going to make other people mad.
Yeah, and it's going to eventually turn into a whole public discussion.
Yes. Because it's like, guess what? You're not communicating with the person. You're not giving them strikes. You're not giving them warnings. Of course, there's going to be instant outrage. And with instant outrage causes the talk or drama or wherever the heck you want to call it. But ultimately, this falls squarely in the lap of Vidme because they are not handling their public PR properly, or even their private PR in this for communication.
Yes, if there's no communication,
period,
then there's no way to proceed forward.
Yeah.
It's going to be this way, and this way is our way. It's the whole grandparent things because I said so.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this. I mean, it's like playing Calvin ball. Right now with Vidme, you never know what the rules are going to be. They're always changing them. They went and they took off the Vidme category when the whole free Constantino thing was going, and then they put out the blog post going, well, we're taking this away. Even though 3 months ago we wanted feedback and criticism, but now we don't want it, so we're going to bury it from the hot trending because it's over dominating it.
And thus sparked a controversy.
Yes.
It's like you know what? If you demand public discourse and then decide to shun it or take it away, it's almost like an operating system saying that they can't. There's no viruses for that operating system.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like if you say here's a place where you can put up whatever, it's basically you think it's going to be some public forum for discussion like a conference room or a debate hall or something like that. No, it's a bathroom wall.
Yeah.
You're going to have absolutely everything that's running through people's heads while they're on the shitter just thrown out there, just put up there because somebody's going to see it and go, oh, hey, this person says something I like. I'm going to go see what they want to say.
And I think the big issue with this, because even us, we're one of the most active, longest featured creators on their platform. I even get upset by a lot of this stuff because the thing is they say they're willing to discuss it, which they technically are, but they want to discuss it all privately, one-on-one, and this is not having a public PR message.
And look, being made a featured creator almost at the inception of Vidme, being able to hold on to that moniker and utilize it as a part of our tenure on the site, that's been great. Thanks a lot for that. We didn't need it. We don't need it. That's the thing is, that's what I'm going to keep putting forward. Like we put our videos out there as long as our videos are hosted. If we can't use Vidme to disseminate that content and get some sort of support for it, we're going to find another way. And that's the thing is Vidme isn't the only site that's offering video hosting, and it's not the only site that offers. We can use it to hold the videos and just submit the links to someplace else. Even.
Well,
exactly.
Let's get kicked down to 50 gigs. But I could use my own website to host the videos, or there's library, or Amazon Video, or you have.
There are alternatives out there.
Yes,
plenty.
If they take away your verification but let you host the videos, even if it is a 50 gig limit, you can still kind of rotate your content through and still have a host for that content.
Yeah.
And I will admit that that's one of the major things about YouTube is the recommendations that I'm getting, because I go and watch a lot of old stuff. I'm getting recommendations for videos that are 8, 9, 10 years old that, it's content that's been up there. And I can understand holding on to things that are archival, like the first video I ever put up on YouTube or whatever. But there's got to be a lot of crap there that just doesn't get looked at or doesn't get seen. And really, if our content isn't hitting, we're just kind of leaving it there in case it does all of a sudden become viral.
Yeah.
Or that it's there for more people to digest if something else draws them into our channel.
Yeah.
So there is really a question of how relevant that content is or how much it needs to be hosted. But forcing us into that dialogue because for no reason, essentially, with no communication whatsoever, is not good.
Yeah,
No.
not good at all.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been almost in all this with Vidme, you know, more so than YouTube has actually affected me as a creator, because it's just like, what can I say? You know, it leaves this fear that if you say something that the Vidme staff does not like, they're going to come and rip away your de-verification, or they're going to mess with your upvote counter.
Yeah, they're gonna mess with whatever, and
Yeah,
and it goes doubly so for YouTube now, with both the after effects of Adpocalypse, the ambiguousness of the rules as far as content getting demonetized, the fact that there is no black and white to getting demonetized, but now we have this moral citizens brigade deciding to come in and say,
like,
this is
like
just
the
too
whole
contentious or whatever.
Like adding a bunch of like experts from different groups, and
so all of a sudden it's
will
going,
of course be discussed in the actual podcast.
yeah, and that's like the biggest one there is having the Anti-Defamation League.
Yes,
You know, that's
like all of a sudden it's when we're putting content together, it's no longer, is this something that we're going to find entertaining, is this something that we're having fun doing, is this going to be the one that gets us into trouble?
yeah, exactly. And that's and I think that is very discouraging for creators.
it is. I mean,
And I mean, with YouTube and now Vidme basically making this unsaid statement, the unwritten statement here is, you make stuff that people will consume that will keep the advertisements in front of them.
yeah, it better be sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, just don't make any waves, don't make any contentious statements, don't make any art, because you can be creative and make something that's just everything, whatever anybody else is doing, and have it be derivative. But it's not truly art unless it makes people uncomfortable. All right, it needs to make people feel. It needs to evoke more than just life is okay and I should continue consuming, because that's drugs. Okay, that's not art.
Some people are saying social media is a drug nowadays.
I'm willing to believe that. Actually, yeah.
So I mean,
so it's like, it's this, you create and curate this echo chamber around you that says, validate me and everything that I believe is right and okay, and the world isn't falling to shit around me, while the world is in fact falling to shit around everybody.
so whether you look at this as we are living in basically 1984 or a brave new world, and the difference there is 1984 was book burning, government controlling everything. A brave new world was, we are just going to go consumerism, and you're going to be so oversaturated with everything too, that everything's lost in deluge. Either way, it's very discerning.
It's very, very discomforting to think that this is the sort of society that we're moving towards, where what you say is truly, I mean, you're allowed to say whatever it is you want to say. You need to be willing to accept the consequences for saying it.
Yeah.
It's being able to say something and have no consequence whatsoever is one thing, but saying something that goes against the grain and then being overly punished for it, or ostracized or torn down just because it doesn't agree with something.
Yeah. And with social media, this is the fight that's going to be coming, and you're starting to see it, and it's really started in the last couple of years, but it's just growing bigger and bigger. Is the argument is, well, they're a private company, they can do whatever they want. Fine, but
they're gonna also have consequences for their decisions, like they might lose customers.
Yeah, and those people are going to be looking for other things. And we're already seeing this, where there are companies that are trying to hold on to the freedom of speech and say, look, you can say whatever you want. There are consequences, obviously, because you're going to get people that are not going to agree with you and everything like this. But at least they are not censoring and suppressing and doing like the modern day equivalent of book burning. Okay? I mean, you have these platforms that are trying to say, it's like, look, say what you want, and it's going to cause, hopefully, a revolution this way. And quite frankly, the government may decide to interject into some of this stuff too, where all of a sudden you can't use the private company, as an example type thing, because social media is become so inclusive nowadays. It's almost part of one of those things with free speech.
Look, the biggest lie that's drummed into the heads of every single free-thinking person in this society is that the governments and the corporations have all the power, and that the individual holds none.
Correct.
Right? You, as a person, hold all of the power because you are the one who decides where your opinion matters.
Yeah.
All right?
You're the one who decides what you're gonna use.
Yeah.
What you're going to buy.
Yeah, and the corporations and those people in power would love it to have it drummed into the minds of everybody out there that they are just consumers, and that your opinion doesn't matter, and that where your money goes is almost required of you to spend it. No, you can decide where to spend your money. You can decide where to voice your opinion. You can decide what to agree with. These are decisions that are put before you.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, I think, you know, whichever way you are with anything, I think we're going to see the steps that are going to start getting taken, that these social media companies are going to have to start allowing more free speech.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the backlash that's going to end up happening, because right now Google is, could get looked at again to be broke up, because the European Union has said they're a monopoly. Okay, the U.S. underneath the previous administration kind of let it slide, but it's going to probably come back up again now because we're underneath the new administration. And the thing is like, there is a very strong argument that Google controls the internet.
Yeah.
Because for video platforms, they practically own it. As far as searches go, they own it.
They own the search engine.
And sure, there are alternatives out there, and people can use the alternatives, but it's very inconvenient, and that's what happened with the old monopoly laws, like AT&T and Standard Oil. They got broke up because of like unfair practices, or they were just too big, and for their own good. So Google is going to potentially come underneath this, in the future itself. There is time for the right competitor right now to look at where Google is misstepping, especially with determining what is considered the right thing or wrong thing to say. And they can be in place right now to come up as the platform to use.
And we thought Vidme was going to be one of those competitors.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it became...
The problem with what it is that when Vidme finally got a sense of exactly the breadth of it is when you have content creators uploading their content and trying to disseminate it, and you're trying to entice advertisers in. And right now, that's the big misdirection here. Is the advertisers came in after the whole PewDiePie scandal, the hit piece that came out about PewDiePie being anti-Semitic. The advertisers came in and said, we don't like that. We don't like those things. And what YouTube should have done, in my view anyway, is said, okay, you don't like it, then go. Because it's not like there are not advertisers lining up to try and get their stuff out there on YouTube and are willing to pay the price that it takes.
Yeah.
And it's just that and so these advertisers came in and said, we don't like that. You need to be more discerning about where our videos where our advertisements show up and what videos are shown out there. And so now YouTube has to crack down about, felt like they said, oh, okay, and decided to kowtow and just crack down on the content creators and punish them for was essentially a misrepresentation of one of the biggest creators that was on YouTube.
Yeah. So with all this, that whole ad thing is interesting. And this is where the argument kind of goes that YouTube's a little bit and Google's a bit of a monopoly, because they still lose revenue every year, but they control the industry because they have all their other businesses underneath Google. They're able to support YouTube, so that way it can lose money, and so it does drive out competition. So I don't know. With, like I said, we were hoping Vidme would be different. They can still turn it around, but
right now they're making the same mistakes.
Right now they're making the same mistakes again and again. And it's becoming like a continuous loop. And if they go down this path, it's going to be really hard to determine how sustainable their business is going to be in the long term. Like, they could be going, if not like, if not like by the end of this year they're going out of business, they could possibly be going out of business within like the beginning of next year.
That's a good possibility, you know, and because I mean, running these sort of platforms are hard, but you know, all of this, the Google memo, what other companies are doing like Vidme, you know, we are seeing this echo chamber coming up where we don't want wrong think or things that cause people to have uncomfortable or get upset. But the problem is that's a two-way street.
Yes.
Because you're going to, no matter what you do, you're going to piss somebody off.
Yeah, exactly. And you and that's one of the things, you can't satisfy everybody.
Right. But by properly communicating it, you know, and having some good public PR, you can help lower the amount that people get torqued. So,
I mean, if you have a proper explanation for why these things are happening, then that's going to fit. If it's just, even if it's, we don't like what you said or what you did.
I think the best example, I'm going to try to close up here, but the best example of this was Patreon. When they got rid of Laura Southern's account, the CEO ended up making a statement, and it was a very well-worded statement. While still people were upset, it was a very solid explanation, and they actually addressed it publicly, you know, and they did a good job there. So basically, Patreon was able to save some face with it. Granted, they still pissed people off, but it quelled the outrage because it was at least a public statement that was made by the Patreon CEO.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we could probably continue going on for another hour about all this, but
yeah,
we'll have to wrap it there. And you know, let us know down in the comments below, you know, where you agree, where you disagree. We certainly invite discourse and conversation on this kind of thing.
But yeah, this is, I mean, this is the new look for creators. You know, what we have to worry about, you know, on any platform nowadays.
So when you log into Vidme now, what you see is a personal feed.
Yeah, of like more recent videos, and then like on the side, it almost the way it's laid out kind of reminds me of Reddit. It with the icons.
Yeah.